again. My name is Scott here with Abundance Coaching TV, and welcome to our show today. I'm excited today because in our episode, we are going to talk about some really important issues. And the biggest issue in our episode today that we're going to talk about is opportunity and how opportunity really comes. And opportunity doesn't always come in the same ways. Oftentimes, as you and I both know, opportunity comes in the form of a challenge sometimes. And one of our guests for today is going to share a story about how opportunity has really come through some opposition and some challenge. And the episode title for today is Reject Does Not Equal Eject. Opposition Equals Opportunity. So what a title. I think that that's great. Now, the person that I'm going to introduce you to in just a moment here is Joseph. But before I get to that, just ask yourself, is there a place in your life right now where you're feeling like you're rejected? Is there a place in your life where you're feeling like, I don't have enough, or I, I'm not worthy? And if that's the case, try to just like bask in that just for a moment, because we're going to uncover some truths here in a bit about that rejection place or that unworthiness that you might be feeling. And if you've been watching our show for long enough, you'll understand that with Abundance Coaching TV, my belief on abundance is that you were created as someone who's completely enough in the first place, that you have enough today, and you have more than enough in the future. So it's actually not just enough, that you are more than enough as well. So you were created as more than enough, you have more than enough, and you have more than enough in the future. If you look at things from those three platforms, what is it that you can do to actually reframe your position on maybe how you feel rejected or you feel unworthy? So those are just some questions that I'm leaving out there. I'm kind of just like throwing them out there. They're up in the air. And hopefully, as we watch this, as you watch this interview and you take in and bask in this environment, you'll be able to uncover some of these questions about how you might feel unworthy, or you might feel rejected, or you want to turn your challenges into opportunity and believe that you were created as more than enough, you have more than enough, and that more than enough is coming to you in the future. So having said that, my guest for today is Joseph Tomeo, and Joseph is someone that I think you are going to be totally inspired by. Why? Because Joseph is an action taker. He's a mover, he's a shaker. I was recently at a conference in San Diego. It was actually the Coaching Leadership Academy from one of my coaches. His name is Ted McGrath. And at this conference, Joseph came up to me after a period of time just like hanging out with all these different people we were socializing with, and he just like said, hey, I'm gravitated towards hanging out with this area of the table that we were hanging out at. And I thought, Joseph, it was one of those moments where I was like, hey, this is my kind of guy. He didn't just wonder. It's like, well, something interesting's happening on that side of the table, and he wasn't just like wondering. It's like, I wonder what they're really talking about, and I like that energy. And he didn't just like keep it in himself. He's like, you know what? There's something interesting happening over there. I'm gonna go walk over there, and I want to be part of that conversation. And you did that, and that was my real first impression of you. I was like, wow, this guy is an action taker. But through that, man, we've had an opportunity to really just get to know each other and build this cool relationship. And I feel like so aligned with some of the things that you're going to talk about that we've already talked about, bud. So, dude, you are awesome. This is your interview, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, as an audience member, welcome here, Joseph Tomeo.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
All right.
Wow, thank you for having me on your show today, Scott. It's such a privilege after talking to some people, some of your colleagues, and also going over your website. There's just so many principles and so many things that you stand for that I just agree with and I resonate with so much. And I mean, abundance, it's such a perfect title for you. It's such a great, integrous word. I just think in general that I've experienced a lot of people, they say they stand by, but I haven't seen a lot of, like you were saying, action. You're an incredible action taker. Just that poster behind you, I see there's a tree with the word change on that. And that is change and shifting and moving and constantly looking for abundance. I mean, you've heard the phrase, I'm sure, half glass empty, half glass full.
You're definitely a glass all full type of a guy, and we all have things in our lives that happen, and we can look at it in different perspective glasses. And
Hmm.
thank you for having me on your show today. I just think this is such a privilege, and I hope anyone who's listening today are encouraged and supported by our words together.
Awesome. Thank you, man. And
Sure.
it's true, right? Because if we look at life from a half empty or a half full perspective, there's no overflow, is there?
Nope.
And when you look at overflow, it's just like it's that cup that has more than enough just filling it. It's more than enough. It's flowing over. So hey, thanks
Yep.
for acknowledging that. That's great.
Absolutely. I mean, I had to realize what when things started shifting in my life. Did something monumental happen in the universe to where automatically that thing changed, or was it me?
Hmm.
Those things stayed the same, but I realized inside me that's where the shift was happening. No one came over and started pouring more water into my glass. It was more, oh wow, I'm going to go find water. I'm going to go look for the oasis, and I'm going to put more water into the glass. So it was me that changed, and opportunities just opened up. So yeah,
Right on, buddy. Cool. So you are here for a lot of reasons, and one of the big reasons that you're here is because we came up with a title that really will speak to some people that out there watching this show. And a lot of the people that watch Abundance Coaching TV or will watch this as a recording later on watch the shows because they're intrigued by a title. And in some way, somebody's intrigued by the idea that they feel rejected right now, and they're intrigued by the idea that there's an opportunity in the opposition. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, the title is Reject Does Not Equal Eject, Opposition Equals Opportunity. So Joseph, tell us a little bit about what it means to like feel rejected and feel that kind of opposition.
wow. Well, before this interview, I've had to really go through my notes and go through a lot of old journals. I came up through a treasure mine about a couple months ago in my parents' shed in the back of their house, and it had journals from when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
And a lot of these stories um, really sit in the center of what a human experience of the heart with rejection. And I couldn't believe it. I feel the same way I do as an adult several years ago than I did when I wrote those journals. I said, how long have I been carrying this with me? How long
Yeah.
have I allowed this to affect my life? And so rejection has been something that doesn't obviously, it doesn't feel good. You know, it's definitely something that I don't wake up every day and I look for rejection. Now I kind of do because I've seen after pattern after pattern after pattern. There's so much that births from that in the pain, and so there's this rejection mentality. I thought after being what I would think rejected because of my experiences and how I grew up and what I went through. I started looking at it wasn't really rejection. Rejection didn't mean eject, as I say. It doesn't mean just because you feel that I'm hurt, my feelings are hurt, that you should eject from those situations. Because I have learned most of my character development and things when I mentor people, and people, all my mentors have been the most growing points in those places. And I am a changed person just by sitting in those moments and allowing that feeling of rejection just to come up and just to see how there's an opportunity in that. And I think rejection is a form of uh, opposition, because rejection is the mental state. It's the way that we perceive things. And it's just coming to the realization that it's not me that's being rejected. It's just the situation, and just looking at it differently to see the greatness that's in the situation. So,
Yeah, right.
I
Definitely.
have yeah, I have a long. I mean, it started out when I was a kid, getting rejected all the way up, to young adulthood, which I know a lot of you can relate to. So
Yeah, man. So, like there's some catalyst events that happened in your life that started all this. And I love to hear the story, and everybody that's listening right now, like there's a story inside of you perhaps that you relate to with rejection, but there were a couple catalyst events that you and I have talked about. Would you mind sharing your story and what those events were?
absolutely, Scott. Um, Started when I was 2. I I um, I get emotional every time I talk about this because it's just it's just good. So when I was 2, I severed my tongue. I literally, it was sliced underneath. I swallowed my tongue and was rushed to the hospital, blood all over the place. My mom had to hold my tongue on the way to the hospital in the truck, and I didn't know this at the time, but that would set the course for my life. It would set the stage for what I would feel as rejection, because that led to a speech impediment. It led to I also had a concussion at the same time because I fell so hard and was pushed so hard that I had a concussion, which would affect my learning abilities. So slow comprehension, dyslexia, what you'd call is ADD, all these things happen, what society calls as these labels, would start to what I impact grammar school, to high school, and even to college. And so that was one of the main events in my life that really started triggering. I felt like I'm being guided for this growth of transformation.
Mhm.
And as I was always told, oh, you always want to pull out the best in me. And I think in a way it was because I was trying to pull out the best in me, and I was searching for myself through other people, and then I became a follower. And although it was from a pure intent, I was actually missing out on the greatness that I was created to be because I was living more of a follower than a leader.
Yeah.
I thought leaders were prideful and had to be this way and couldn't step outside of the box. And if you did, you just got to make sure that you're constantly checking in with yourself, and just not a good leadership. I always saw as something that was over there that was prideful, which I know it's not. I
Yeah.
mean, it's incredible. So, without going on a tangent, there's a lot of things I could tell about surrounding that story, but the pain and the rejection. I mean, not being able to speak and failing tests, test after test after test, and I was so insecure as a child. I actually carried my baby blanket till I was 14 years old.
Till you were
14,
14.
14 years old.
Wow, man.
Yeah, it was a yellow blanket my grandma actually made. I'm 33 now, so that was almost 2 decades ago. Just want to
Yeah.
be clear on that. No, so funny. But man, it was I and my sister. I remember she had to speak for me at restaurants at 16. I could speak at this point, and my stuttering through going through therapy and counseling to get that speech pathology good, but my confidence wasn't there. I had no voice.
uh,
Literally, I had
yeah.
no voice. And my sister would order off the menu for me. I would have to tell her, and she would tell the waitress and the server, and she'd repeat back to me, and then she'd be my translator, and my brother did the same thing. And you know, it was just challenging time in my life, and I thought that was enough. And then when I was 20, I came down with a life-threatening disease and an autoimmune disease, and went to the doctors, and I lost 60 pounds.
Yeah.
I was tested for cancer. I was tested for AIDS. I was tested for hepatitis. None of those. Okay. And the doctors pulled over my parents, my mom, my mother, and my father, and they said, you know what? His quality of life is just going to lessen. And I was 20. 20.
20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just when I thought I was over my teens and I'm finding my voice, back down. And there's a lot surrounding that. I mean, I could literally talk about it for a very long time, but the key point that I would like to share in this interview today is for anyone out there who's feeling rejected, have insecurities, don't feel like you're enough, that there's this greatness waiting for you. It's already there. It's already in you.
Mhm.
You were born with that. And society does not define who you are. And circumstance does not define who you are. It's how you choose to show up. It's how you choose the perspective of seeing a certain situation. And I knew for myself at that point, when I was 20 and I was on literally my deathbed, I couldn't move out of my parents took care of me for 6 months. I couldn't go to the restroom. I, you know, had to lay in my bed and do that. And I had to make a choice at that time.
I guess they
Yeah.
call it the pit in a way. You know, it was my pit. It was my turning point. And I look back and I was like, I could use this as a constant victim mentality and blame. Why is this happening to me? I didn't do anything to deserve this.
Yeah.
Why? This isn't. What did I do?
Yeah.
And I had to shift it and think, you know what? This could be an opportunity.
Okay, so I want you to get into the journey in a bit here, but let's stay in the pit for a second. Because I
Absolutely.
know your journey, and there's some really good, awesome things that, like, the breakthrough points in your journey, but there's somebody that's watching this right now, and
Mm.
they're a bit in the mode here. And let's just know that we're framing it for you watching the show. What does it feel like in that pit, and how can you relate perhaps with somebody else that may have had a challenge similar to yours, or even a different challenge in the middle of that pit, and what kind of hope do you hold on to in that place?
Well, for me, at that point, I had to decide that my life was more important than the hurt and the pain. And I had it planned out to end my life, and I didn't think anyone understood me. I didn't feel that even if I was on this planet, what difference would it really make? Who's gonna miss me? And it was at that point that I knew that I was more than my feelings, that I have a free will, and I have a choice. And the word will, that word really resonates with me. We say, I will do that, I will do this. We use it so casually every day.
Yeah.
And I realized will with a capital W, free will, is something we are given when we are born. And we can either choose and allow the feelings to dictate our actions, or we can rise above that and be stronger and make that choice. And at that point, I called some friends, which I consider actually a form of mentorship.
Yeah.
And they were my support network. And I also had family. A lot of people, I noticed that someone once told me, "You have not because you've asked not."
Mhm.
So
Sure.
I finally shared that with people because I was in the dark for so long, and I was so shy for so long. I'm known in the industry as the shy guy wins, but for so long I was known as shy guy. And so it's not just the context of what shy means, but it's how I wasn't living in my greatness in all the areas of my life.
Yeah.
And so these people, they help support me. And I would invite you, if you're listening today, your perception of your suffering and what you think are inadequacies,
Mhm.
they're actually strengths and a gift just waiting to be to be opened.
Yeah.
So there's imagine during Christmas there's presents under a tree. They're
Right.
just open them up. So that's kind of that was at my in the deep part of my journey. So yeah, it's
Man.
still sensitive when I go back there. It's still
Yeah,
really
no,
real,
I
but
feel it.
it keeps me humble. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So, just before we get into the journey, somebody out there is still in the pit. And you're going to tell a great breakthrough story here in a moment. But because somebody's watching this right now and they're like, okay, I get some of that, Joseph. I understand some of that. I understand some of the reject stuff. Because I feel that right now, and I understand the willpower thing. But what can you offer them as, next steps, as like, where can they go from here? Like, what can they do?
Well, through time I've developed. I started these workshops, and it's called Workshop Empowerment. Actually, if
Hmm.
it's an acronym, it stands for WE. Okay, because I believe in
Yeah.
community. I believe in connecting. I believe in a lot of that arm in arm puzzle piece mentality. And so there's three principles I developed called the ABC principles. And the A stands for awaken, the B stands for believe, and the C stands for commit. And in those workshops and working with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, I've learned there are some. We're all unique, but we're all uniquely the same. I'm not
Right.
sure if you've heard that before, but there's some consistent patterns. And so after a lot of research, I even looked into science things, which I thought, what does science have to do with relationships? But there were patterns that I saw. And also just having conversations with people. And I have a lot of people in my life I make it an effort to talk to the older generation, just because they have so much wisdom.
Yeah.
So much wisdom. And there's 3 principles that I've developed, actually, and they're on my website. If you go onto my website at shyguywins.com,
Yep.
you could put in your name and your email, and I will send you those for free.
Woo-hoo.
Like, there's 3 principles, yeah. So
ShyGuyWins.com, everyone.
yeah, I would love to share
Alright.
that with you guys. So yeah, that's one way. Absolutely. If you're in the pit and you're feeling, go on there right now. I mean, don't even wait. Put this on pause. Move over. Come back.
That's it, man. Yeah.
So.
Cool. So that's great, man. And let's get out of this pit. And I just feel it inside me right now to give you and the audience an invitation right now. I invite you, as we hear the rest of this journey story from Joseph, to come out of your pit. To get out of your pit. And many of you heard my story. If you haven't, it's episode 206. I had a pit journey too. And my pit, the shortest version of the pit, was that I was not living my purpose. I knew my purpose. I moved back to Saskatchewan from Toronto. I married the woman of my dreams. And I was called to do coaching. But I went back to what I was used to. I went back to a retail computer sales job. And on the side, I took some of the money that I had and invested it back into properties. And I pushed myself to want success with all of that stuff. But it was also me looking back and saying that my insecurity was in that because I was used to that. And actually, economy and things shifted in the process. Whereas I actually lost my shirt on one of the properties. And I ended up hurting my family in some ways because my wife also wanted to be a coach, but we ended up having children. And with good reason, she wanted to be a mom instead of continuing with the 2-year program that we were in the middle of coach today. And that doesn't mean that she's going to be later. I'm just telling you my pit of how I hurt not just myself. When we're in the middle of the pit, we hurt others. And we potentially rob them from part of their destiny or working in their destiny at an earlier time. So, yeah, man, the journey is cool when you get that breakthrough point, and my breakthrough point is happening right now too, but your breakthrough point is about to happen. And in this, Joseph, can you stand with me and give an invitation with me to get out of the pit for everybody watching?
Absolutely, absolutely. And what the pit just basically means is it's not necessarily a space. It's just it's a state of mind. And so it's anywhere in your life and anywhere that anything you haven't tried that you think, oh, this is going to happen, that aren't really good outcomes, I invite you to take a risk, take a chance, and see what happens. And then when something does happen, reflect and think, is that situation really bad? Is that the negative thing? Is that the thing that's wrong? Or could this be an opportunity for you to shift something in your mind? Because we don't have power over other people, and we don't have the power over how situations happen to us. We only have the free will, the choice to make a change in ourselves. So that's my invitation to you. And I know that you have it in you. Absolutely. Everyone does. Everyone does. And if you don't think you do, invite some people into your life and have them encourage you into that. You know what? Call me. You can call me, actually. Or go to my email. It's shyguywins1@gmail.com. I would love to. If you have no one in your life, okay? I'm someone in your life right now. And I speak to hundreds and hundreds of people, so don't think I don't have enough time for you, but I will get back to you. I promise.
Cool, man. That's awesome. Thanks for being bold with that. So you're
Absolutely.
invited to get out of the pit. Everyone in the audience, right now's your time. Cool. So tell us about the rest of the journey.
Well, the rest of the journey happens like this, and it happens a little, I wouldn't say quickly, but I get really excited when I talk about it because, and I was actually talking to my dad this morning before this interview because it's pretty incredible some things that we forget.
Yeah.
And my father and my mother, they raised me, and I some of the things I didn't remember. Actually, the blanket story I shared with you a little earlier, my dad, remember that? I go, whoa, wow.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of things where I've grown through that I remember, and some things I don't. But the things that I remember specifically of getting out of this pit was, first, it was the choice. I chose that I want something better, more abundantly in my life. Okay? And then I invited people into that vision. And it doesn't need to look like this grandiose, perfect set system. I always say to people, fail forward, and maybe you've heard that term, fail forward.
Yeah.
Move forward. Just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Okay? And I created a life. That's what it looked like. I created a lifestyle of what it looked like to live abundantly. So instead of thinking I'm broke and I'm poor, I started thinking, no, I'm rich and I have abundance in my life.
Yeah.
So I would look for those opportunities. My friend in 2003 asked me to go to Europe, and I had a great job at one of the highest hotel chains in the world. Okay? And I said, and I just got that job, and I said, I can't go with you to Europe because I will lose this job. It was automatic what I thought. Well, what I did, though, about 4 months later, after him asking me and asking me and asking me, he's like, we're going to be in Europe for 2 months. Come on. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I go, I know, man. I know. I can't go. Well, at that point, I decided, I said, I'm going. I believe that my job is going to be there, and I believe that this is a great time to do this. And so I went. I came back. I had a job. They saved my job because I provided value for them. And I provided this abundance mentality. It's infectious. It's contagious.
Yeah.
So going out of the pit, I was just starting this transformation of the mind, just transforming how I saw things. And I actually graduated college. After failing tests through kindergarten, grammar school, high school, I actually graduated college on the dean's list. And
right on.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. My parents were my mom cried a lot, and because they grew up with me, they raised me, and so they saw a lot of transformation. And traveling through Europe was huge for me. I couldn't even order off a menu. Talking to all these strangers and people and stuff. Huge. My dad,
I bet.
Speaking with my dad before this interview, also he started crying a little bit because it brought him back into what I went through. And he actually remembers things that he went through. And it was a great experience. And so in our brokenness, we actually we bonded a little bit more before this.
Right
so
on, buddy.
It's pretty awesome. So I never would have thought I owned several businesses I do and been successful, not just financially, but an abundance. And when I think of wealth, it's not just money.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. It's relationships. It's who you have in your life, what you have in your life, how you view life. What's the state of your well-being? Are you at peace? That's wealth to me, true wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And so, owning businesses and speaking out as a master of ceremony for events.
Yeah, man.
How? What? Like how? Like how did that happen? And so, if you think you can't, you can. Okay, and I would say, stop allowing the mental blockages in your mind prevent you from your greatness. And this may sound some like cliche, you can be the best that you can be, but I'm serious. I am serious. You shift the mind, and there's actually a chapter in the book that's coming out that I'm writing in the fall.
The Holy Shift.
The Holy Shift. You heard about it. I think I might have mentioned it.
That's a great name. That's a great title, buddy.
It's It's nothing less than that. It is one of the biggest principles that has literally transformed my life. In what the title of the book is called, considering being called, from shy to high. So it's that shifting, just like you shift the car gear. It'll take you into your greatness or out of the pit,
Hmm.
however you look at it. Or if you want more abundant relationships in your life, if you want more just nutrient dense relationships, I'm telling you, shifting is a huge catalyst for inviting those things into your life.
Yeah, man. Cool. Right on. Very cool. So we talked about some of those dark moments. We talked about some of those, but you wrote a question here. Was this something a little bit different about the darkest moment of your life? Was there something different, or did we cover that in your story?
I think that was pretty much the darkest point of my life when I'd several dark moments, and you know, the being a child and severing the tongue, and I've actually had 8 concussions since then, which affected a lot, and I could just keep I could have used that as an
Yeah.
excuse over and over and over and over, and losing business opportunities, and being slow in school and failing tests, and almost dying at 20 years old, and you know I could live in that life, or I could choose to live in another life of abundance, and knowing that that exists too.
Right. Yeah,
So
man.
yeah.
That's awesome. So cool. So cool. Okay, so if there's one principle that you can offer the listeners out there that can help them, overcome and have abundance and just turn their opposition into opportunity, what would it be?
Well, I would definitely have to say there's so many. I'm trying to. There's so many. But I will think of one. I know the title is Reject is not Eject, and Opposition Equal Opportunities. That's actually another title in my book. That's why I used it. I would say there's 2 things, and they connect. The words passion and vision come to my mind. And I used to think that whatever I loved to do, which I consider passion, whether it was, if you like to just play video games on the internet, or go out and go to restaurants, or lead corporate executives to the table and transform their businesses, whatever your passion is, that may be challenging. I realized that passion, for me, I always thought it was a great feeling and something that gave me this euphoria. And
Hmm.
then I looked up the etymology of the word passion in the Greek sense. It actually means to suffer and endure. That was a huge opening for me.
Yeah.
When I learned that, I knew that passion wasn't just some exciting feeling and happiness that I felt all the time. I knew that it was actually, that word was calling me into, if I want to live my passion, and now my passion is to be with people, to bring them out of whatever area in their life are shy, or any area in their life they want more greatnesses or to strengthen. I knew that this isn't some foo-foo easy road. I mean, these are some hard conversations. I've had some hard conversations, not only me speaking with people coming to me, but me speaking with my mentors.
Yeah.
And so I saw a connection between that and vision, which is the other word that I was mentioning. And I realized that vision, I realized I had such a small vision
Mm.
being shy.
Yeah. Sure.
And get a little emotional talking about this. Just when you're in it, you don't see it. It's just very
Yeah.
hard to see a bigger vision. It feels like you're covered with all this dirt, and you are this diamond underneath this dirt, and you gotta just tear off that dirt and uncover that diamond so it shines bright.
Yeah.
And someone told me, I went through an event in 2007 for 4 days, and it helped uncover a lot of stuff that I was holding on to that I totally denied for most of my life. And they told me, they said, Your vision has to be so big and so clear, and you repeat that self to you every day. It can be morning, noon, and night. It can be once in the morning, whenever. It's got to be so clear that it will actually pull you through the pain of transformation.
Yeah.
And they told me that transformation and sometimes pain or rejection or the feelings that you don't want to feel, sometimes they're parallel. And your vision is up here. So if you want to get to your vision, have that vision like an oasis. I love the word oasis, like an oasis in a desert. If I knew that oasis was over here, I would do everything in my power to get there. But if
Yeah.
it's blurry and I don't know where it's at, I don't know
Seeing
where
a
I'm
mirage. Yeah.
exactly seeing a mirage. So have that vision so clear and realize that if you have passion to go towards that water, go towards that abundance, and go towards that refreshing that place that's going to refresh you, there's going to be some suffering.
Yeah.
There's going to be some pain. And it's okay. It's absolutely okay. But just constantly know that your vision and your passion, those are two things that I would want to share with the audience and share with you, Scott.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, a lot of people out there, we talk in my program too, I talk a lot about like living with passion. And in my slogan, so live with passion and have abundance in life, right?
Yep.
And I think that's so important. But when you really get deep into it, I totally agree with you. It's important also to acknowledge, what passion means and that deep conviction that passion was. That's why it's called the Passion of Christ, right?
Yep.
It's not very happy and exciting what happened to him in those last days,
Right.
but
Yep.
the passion, the suffering, but for a greater thing as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that, but I think that life purpose comes in as well, Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think that it's really important to actually look at your life purpose, and look at that sort of like as a hierarchy, if you will.
Mm.
Because when you have your mindset on, okay, this is my life purpose, then it changes okay, well, this is my passion, so I need to follow my passion. And that looseness that passion can be, because passion can often be associated to that feeling, or like you said, elation that you mentioned,
Yes.
is that elated feeling. If it's like, well, I'm passionate about movies, or I'm passionate about this. There's a Seinfeld clip where Jerry's sitting with George. I don't know if you've seen Seinfeld. You like this show, but he's sitting with George, and he's like, okay, so what do you like to do? Well, I like movies. Okay. What do you like about movies? I like watching them. Okay. I really like baseball. All right. So what would you do? I could be like maybe a general manager or something like that. All right. Usually they give those to ex-baseball players and people who are really in the baseball field, George. Oh, yeah. How about, I could be a commentator. And he's just like all these things that he likes, right? Like, and it goes on and on and on and on, right? But that's often the way that we look at it first.
Mm.
It's like, I don't like. Instead of looking at that core of just like, hey, what is your life purpose?
Mm.
And starting at that place.
I love that. I absolutely love that, Scott. That's great. That's great stuff right there. Wow. And I see how life of purpose, it's very much, I see it as an action. Like an action, it's creating action. Life of purpose, you're being purposed. And so I almost see, you know, you're moving towards that with passion. The purpose is what is the main focus. That's great. I love it.
Yeah, that's totally it. It's it. And that was a shift for me too. So, and actually the shift happened after I started abundance coaching, and I've always had that slogan, live with passion and have abundance in life. I've always had that, and I'm still cool with it, but my attitude has changed a little bit about the passion part,
Mm.
because of what I just shared with you and the description of it. So, and I think that it's helpful too because so many people come to me, it's like, what does it mean to live with passion? And they crave it, right? They crave it, but they also don't ever think that they could live with passion and do things that are exciting and that they're motivated with
Mm.
and really have a flourishing, successful life.
Mm.
And I say, poo-poo on that. You can, yeah.
I'd
Sweet.
save you on the pooping part, but I just don't know what to say right there.
Cool, man. Hey, we're about to wrap up this interview. Let's just I always ask or try to ask my viewers or my guests one question. What are you looking for in life?
It's a great question. I automatically want to reposition that question to what am I purposing in life? And especially after what you just mentioned, I think that's such a great principle. Um, I think the word creation, to create, I think that is one of the strongest gifts that everyone has. And I think we were born with that ability. It was given to us, bestowed to us. And to create, I mean, think of how much power is in that.
Yeah.
You can create death or you can create life.
Yeah, man.
You can create abundance or you can create scarcity.
Yeah.
And so, what am I looking for in life? Well, I'm looking to constantly be a creator and constantly create new opportunities
Yeah.
for people and to build and to raise leaders up. And if you think you're not a leader, stop right there, because I can almost guarantee that you are. And if you've had a lot of stuff that are problems in your life or challenges, that makes you all the more reason to be a leader. Okay? I cannot tell you the amount of people that they have such amazing stories. Oh my goodness gracious. I've traveled all around the world and these stories are incredible. And the one thing that's missing is that shift. That shift to know that that happened in their life and that does not define who they are.
Yeah.
But now they get an opportunity. The biggest thing that's missing is the shift to where now they get to create a new life out of their experience.
Yeah, man. That's it.
Think of all the people that you could connect to right now, those who are listening to this, with everything that you've gone through. All it takes is a shift to what someone once told me, get off of yourself, stop, and reposition yourself and move forward. Someone actually called me at one time arrogant, and I thought arrogant was something that was over there. I wasn't arrogant, but they weren't talking about arrogance and what we think is arrogance. Arrogance is anything that we think it sets us apart from anyone else. It disassociates us. Oh, I'm not like that person. Oh, that guy's pain or that girl's pain is not as bad as mine. Oh, you don't understand. So what I was looking for, you asked what am I looking for?
What are you looking for in life? Yeah.
What am I looking for in life is opportunities to be a creator for people, to create opportunities. I look at that everywhere. And sometimes it looks in the form of opposition.
Yeah.
So.
Tying it right back to the title, you. Look at you, man.
That's funny. That's so
you're
funny.
Looking for it.
if I could go back to my English grade teachers now and talk about the transitions and all that stuff, which I failed, they would laugh their socks off. I actually have a couple on my Facebook, and they've seen everything that I'm up to, and they are just enthralled and excited and encouraging. You know, so that shifted my mindset of how I thought these people saw me.
Yeah.
Now it's like, wow, because I shifted, they're shifting, and now they can see new possibilities in their life. So it's just incredible. It's just incredible. Life is wow. Wow.
That's great, man. Yeah, invite them to your show. Invite them to this episode, bud.
That'd
be great.
Definitely. That's another promise.
There you go. Cool, man. Let them hear your shift. Let them hear your story, and don't be surprised when they're in the middle of something that they need to go through as transformation. Maybe they found themselves when they were 30 years old, but they're 50 years old now, and we overlook the idea that they found themselves and they were all that in our eyes when we were younger. But today they're looking for a new opportunity, or they're looking for something, and maybe even they're desperate for a change in their life, and they're sick and tired of trying it on their own.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, good point, Scott. Great.
Cool. Hey, brother. Let's wrap up, but before we do that, let's let the audience know how we can find out more about you. You have a special offer as well. Tell us about it.
Sure. I I actually I actually mentioned it, I believe, earlier. If you go on my website at shyguywins.com, I will send you the free gift of 3 principles that I have found not only that have helped me through my life and doing all the research and talking with people, mentors, and that nature, but the 3 principles that would literally take you into a whole new life. And like I said, you can email me and ask me any questions that you like. That invitation is open. I have a book coming out in the fall. So it's called From Shy to High. That seems to be the subject matter. There's so many things floating in the head. I want to make sure it's poignant to relate to the audience. So there's going to be several principles in there in a more enriched and more in-depth study to take you into very, very simple reading too. That will take you into your new areas of greatness. So hopefully I get to meet you one day in one of my presentations. I speak, so another opportunity. You know what? I'll even give you an incredible rate to come speak at your event. If you want me to master a ceremony, you want me to come to your high school, you want me to come to your college or your corporation, give me a call or send me an email. shyguywins1@gmail.com. That's exclusively for this interview with you, Scott.
All right.
So, yeah.
Awesome. So Shy Guy Wins 1 at gmail.com.
Yes.
Right on, man. You are a light when there's darkness. You are refreshing when there's dryness. You bring opportunity out of opposition, and you've totally proven that even though you might have felt like you were rejected, and maybe you even were rejected in a lot of ways, you were not ejected from this massive, awesome, amazing game of life. You chose to look at life from that amazing self perspective. It wasn't always easy. You had to go through the pit. But your pit now is a story. It's a story that will help, and these airwaves will go out for generations. And as you continue to share your story, man, I know that you will impact lives, and you are already. So thank you so much for being part of our show and for being here with us today.
My pleasure, Scott. Thank you for having me on your show today. Such a huge, wonderful, special part. Just meeting you so recently, and you having such a great impact in my life. I make it an effort. I make it a choice now that I don't need people in my life. Okay, and you may be hearing this right now. What do you mean you don't need people? That's horrible. Uh, no, now I choose. I want people in my life, and that's the free will. I don't just take whatever's available and I'll take leftovers. No, but we have a life to live in abundance, to live the best life that we possibly can. Okay, and that choice, like I'm choosing you, Scott, and you're choosing me. I mean, that's wow. Versus, oh, you need me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, when you got married, it's in your vows. One day I can't wait for that day. In your vows, it's not, okay, Miss Wife, I need you, or she says, I need you because I can't find anyone else. No, she's like, you know what? There's these opportunities possibly all around me, but Scott, I care about you and I love you and I want you and I choose you. that to me sends ripples and ripples and ripples for something that's strong and a unit. And so we can have that in any areas of our lives.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me on the show today, Scott, and choosing me. And I choose you.
Awesome,
So
brother.
thank you.
Cool, man. And for the guests, stay tuned because Joseph and I will be doing some more of this kind of collaboration in the future with some of the cool abundance coaching projects that we will be doing. We're not telling them what it is because we don't know what it is either. That's where opportunities come out. Come out.
Scott and I are big visionary thinkers, so hey, this could take you to the other side of the world.
That's right, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being part of our show today. You're welcome to come to Abundance Coaching anytime. We are a free life coaching TV show, and the reason why I wanted to continue to have it as free is because I have a high value on inviting thought leaders and people that really have made transformations in their own life and can show you how to make transformations in your life. This is life coaching TV that makes a difference, and I'm sure that if you watched till this point, it made a difference in your life today. Until we chat again, my name is Scott Epp. Live with passion and have abundance in life.